Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It is Thursday, Tobago Thursdays, and we've been chatting about quite a few things this morning. But in our last conversation, we started the conversations about the budget expectations 2024-2025 fiscal year. And Tobago is definitely not to be left out, as we would have just spoken with the councillor responsible for finance and the economy. And she would have indicated, yes, they want the 5%. They want it.
Of course. And some of the continued conversations are the same that they have been for the longest. But the digitization is one that we can all agree to and get on board. And it will be interesting to see how that will be impacted in your next conversation. Just because with things like Tobago Carnival and all of those exciting things happening that contribute to that revenue earning, I want to see how we are advancing that, how we are innovating that, and what sort of allocations, or not just hopeful allocations, but actual allocations will go towards that. I'm looking forward to the Monday for sure.
I agree with you as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially when it comes to investment in arts and culture, tourism as well. And as you would have mentioned with the bilateral relations, these are all things that we need to also continue to focus on and not necessarily just put to the side to focus on, you know, that which has always worked.
Well, has it worked? That's the first question we need to ask ourselves. And I think that to me is one of the places that we need to start from is, do we look back at the last year, which is what the Minister of Finance does at the beginning of every budget. He looks back at the last year and gives a recap of what was actually spent. And you can go and check what was budgeted, what was allocated versus what was actually spent. If you go to the Ministry of Finance's website, there's actually a document that you can see that is a running document of the amount of revenue that the government collects on a regular basis, and you see it broken down by taxes, you know, heritage and stabilization fund, everything. Like it's broken down into so many categories. Like last night I was just
fascinated by it. Yes,
we have all this information here. So,
and the shocking part is that the conversation is usually not from that standpoint, even though it is readily available and updated or working documents, as you put it.
So I mean, in all fairness, it hasn't been updated since May.
I'm not going to say we have intermittent periods where you will not have all the information there, but if persons were actually using it, you would realize that the conversation would be very, very different. And that is why I'm hopeful that these conversations contribute to having better ones on Monday, because I will be in the streets asking the questions, people.
There we go.
At least I think so.
Well, let's head across to Tobago, because we're going to continue having conversations about the budget this morning. And I welcome the chairman of the Tobago Division of the TT Chamber of Industry and Commerce. He's joining us via phone, Mr. Curtis Williams. Good morning to you, sir.
Hi, good morning, folks, and welcome to on your show. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks for welcoming me to the show. I appreciate that very much. I would like to welcome you to the show as well, and say, well, let's start firstly by where do you see the business community standing right now in Tobago, Mr. Chairman?
Well, we definitely see there's a sluggish business environment happening now in Tobago, very, very sluggish. And so we want some focus to be placed on sustainable development and infrastructure to boost that Tobago economy. We look at the tourism development. Let's look at the game changer that we have now in the space. We're looking at the new terminal building that is coming on board. And we're hoping that brings that kind of game changer that Tobago really needs to push itself, to propel the trickle-down effect of moving things going forward.
Has that trickle-down effect, or that concept of a trickle-down effect, been working so far for Tobago?
Well, the thing is that there's no game changer. And with the sluggish economy that we have, things is not moving as we expect it to. We see that there are some unique challenges that the THA face now with funding and some other issues that they have to address. And so in this space, we're not seeing that trickle-down effect at all, no way at all.
Interesting you would say that, because for me, things like the Tobago Carnival coming on stream would be a game changer. I think the relationships between KLM Airlines and the other airlines that we've been fostering in Tobago, to me, those things should be game changers, and they haven't done anything from your perspective?
Well, what we see, like the Tobago Carnival coming up, we see that spur of activity for a period of time. We know that that's just going to be for that particular time. What we need is sustainable involvement going forward. Hence the reason why we rally behind the tourism sector, because that's what we're good for in Tobago. With the new terminal building, we have new airlift coming into the space. Where are these forces going to stay? You ever thought about that? Where are these forces going to stay? They don't want those 1- and 2-class environment that we have presently. So we have to look for new hotel plants on the island. We have to find that development in terms of hotels. So those are the things we're going to push for. So we're looking for new development in terms of hotel development on the island. And then from that now, we will see hotel now will demand staff, the hotel will demand goods and services, and there now the triple effect now will be coming. Because we want to move away from the THA. We can't be relying on the THA for sustainability in Tobago any longer. We have to hinge on something else. So the two things that we look at is the tourism development, and we look at the agriculture. Those are two things that we can look at. They are low-hanging fruits, and we can look at those going forward.
And are the stakeholders as engaged, and are they on the same page as you when it comes to that in terms of focusing on the tourism and agriculture?
We are ready, like Freddie. We are waiting. We are just waiting for that opportunity, that enabling environment, because nothing can move forward without the environment as being enabled. The infrastructure, we need all the framework to be set out in terms of, and the THA and us have to be on the same page going forward, pushing the island development, because there's no way we could be thinking one way and they're thinking the other. So we're looking to pull that harmony, that partnership. We're hoping to push that economic drive, economic growth with the THA going forward.
All right. I want to just step back a little bit and ask about the infrastructure that you're saying needs to be put in place. From the perspective of the national budget, what sort of infrastructure do you need?
Well, when we look at our roads upgrades, our infrastructure, we definitely need to upgrade. Our roads is in terrible condition, totally terrible condition. And we also want to look at the link between Trinidad and Tobago. We know that once something happened on that one old vessel, the Cabo Star, then there's challenges across the island and moving goods across the island. So we have to look at putting proper connectivity between the two spaces in terms of cargo space, in terms of cargo. If it's for the fast ferry, fine. We have the fast ferry. We get to move passengers between the space. That's working fine for us. The air bridge, we need to work on something there. We need some more flights because we need to bring the people across. There's a lot of people always stating that they're having challenges getting across to Tobago. So the infrastructure, in terms of the roads, we're looking at the cargo vessel, whether we want to go 2 cargo vessels or 1 cargo, but brand new, not these old and used ones that having challenges coming forward. And we're also looking at, as you said, the air bridge, how best we could strengthen the air bridge going forward.
And that's all the infrastructure that we need to be able to say, well, we're gonna bolster and create that enabling environment.
Well, those are the basic, those are the low-hanging fruits. There are other things that we can look at because we're looking at addressing some of the challenges that some of us have coming out of the COVID. So with that now, we're looking for opportunities. We're talking about fostering a better business environment and how we could treat with those that and building capacity, the local capacity of the business here, because some of us need to scale up, but without the incentive and the will, we can't do that, and we need the support of the Tobago House Assembly and the central government going forward.
Great, and I love that you mentioned that. I'm really interested to find out if the Chamber and the THA have been in conversations, and are you all on the same page?
Well, we have been in dialogue. We started a dialogue early on this year. We had 3 meetings such with the THA, the Chief Sec and his team, and those meetings are getting better and better, and we want to push. And we're definitely pushing for, as I indicated, a working relationship because we want to be able to move away from the THA and let's look for opportunities within the tourism sector. Let's look at see how best we can push for other things that very much needed on the island. Even things like basic access to financing and investment. We need to improve on those things. We need some stimulus in the business sector. So we're hoping that we could have that conversation and get it better and better for the island going forward.
I have to ask, do you agree with the request for 5.8%?
Well, what we see there, the increase in funding is to address the unique challenges that Tobago faces. That's a point. That's a give. Because under development, we don't have much. You can see last year was $200 and something million. That can't do much, right? So we know the increase in the allocation will definitely do something to address some of the challenges we have. We also see that, just on the Tobago needs, in recognizing that there's need for potential economic diversification. So I see that there are key projects that they may need, and they will definitely need that extra cash going forward.
Okay, all right, I hear you. Do you see so you mentioned that you want Tobago to be able to move away from depending on the THA, right? And you want to be able to create a more business approach, the tourism approach, and all that stuff. Do you have an idea as to what percentage of Tobago is employed by the THA currently?
Well, the last statistics we got is between 65 to 70%. And we know everyone is working with the THA, whether it's the morning work and otherwise. And that doesn't augur well for us. I know just recently I was speaking to a couple of hoteliers, and they're asking for staff, and they want proper trained staff. So we have to look into our space and see what we have. We have the Tobago hotel and institution, the hotel school here in Tobago. Mm-hmm. We're hoping that they could do some boosting on that, and let's see if we could start to produce meaningful staff. Because when all these plants come on board, these hotels, they will need staff, and we need trained staff, international, trained, and professional staff. So our customer service has to be out of the box. It can't be the same old. So hence the reason why,
Mr. Williams, and this is why I asked this, is because you're mentioning that you want to be able to say, well, we're moving away from the THA and we want to be able to stand on our own and create that revenue stream and to be able to have all that. But how do we do that if you still have 60 to 65% of the population of Tobago employed and depending on the THA?
Well, some focus has to be on skill training. Some focus definitely have to be on education, looking to move people away from the THA and getting into the private sector. And tourism is our thing. We love tourism, and so we can look at all the careers that go towards tourism. So instead of the grants is being given to education to go into places like being a doctor, being a lawyer, which we all need, yes, but we could start to focus on now hospitality sector employment and how we can give grant to get who become a hotel manager. Why not a great chef? Why we can't have executive chef coming out of Tobago at international standard? So these are the things that we have to change that whole focus and start to move to that area. Because these plants will come on board. They will ask for staff. Where will the staff come from? If the Tobago folks is not ready and not geared to take these employments, they will now have to look for staff outside the space.
Yep.
Which will be a disadvantage to us. So that's the reason why we now put the things in place, put the basic stuff, the basic infrastructure in place in terms of education, skill training, build the capacity of the hotel school, build the capacity of the people who are on the island who wants to get involved in it, stimulate the environment, and these folks say, hey, I want my son to be a great chef. I want my daughter to be a great hotel manager. What about a food and beverage service server? These are the kind of jobs that we're trying to push, and they're sustainable jobs that we could push for the environment.
All right. Well, Mr. Williams, we'll pay attention to the budget on Monday, and we will see exactly how it goes, and I'm sure that we'll be chatting again soon.
I definitely will be chatting with you.
And all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, then. Thanks.
Take care.